So, all right, everybody, welcome once again to the Dope Girl with Purpose platform. I'm your host. It's your girl, J. Renee. As you can see, I have a guest with me today, Miss Sharifa, my first official guest. And y'all get to see me on camera because y'all always see me behind the scenes. So, we just want to get right into it. I wanted to bring awareness. If any of you don't know, November is National Diabetes Month, so I wanted to bring awareness to that, especially with the holidays coming up. I know I focus a lot on the spiritual and mental health, so I just wanted to turn the tables a little and talk about our physical health because it's just as important. So usually on my show before I start, I always just say a little prayer just to get the tone started
absolutely.
And everything. So just a little quick prayer to get our conversation, make sure everything is good, all the jitters is out the way.
Yes.
So Father God, in your name, Jesus, we want to thank you, God, for this time. Thank you for this platform. Thank you, God, for keeping us safe as we journey here. I ask you, God, to be with us on this platform and our conversation. Lead us in the way that you want us to be led and speak to the people, God. My prayer always is if I could touch one person, then my will for you is done and my purpose. Let someone get something out of this. Let somebody be blessed from our conversation. Thank you for having Sharifa and touch her heart, her desires and everything. And be with her and her journey as well, with her endeavors. In your name, Jesus. We thank you, God, for this time. Amen.
Amen. I'm about to shout.
Not shout. So again, y'all, so just to introduce, so I have none other, as I said, this is Miss Sharifa, graphic designer.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and guys, I'm using my phone. I know it's a little, again, I'm just using my phone for my notes today, so just bear with me. But I have graphic designer, podcast host of Mental Health Diet, creative development coach, and now to add to your titles, illustrator of book Friends. Oh, and surprise, I brought it with me today.
Yeah.
Illustrator of book is called Friends that she did with her mother. So you did the graphic design.
Yep, I did all the artwork.
And her mom wrote it. So
yes.
Guys, check this out as well. It's called Friends. Hopefully you can see it. I don't know if I need to walk close up. All Friends, so get it. I guess you have it on Amazon. I got mine from Amazon. You have it on
Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and all major.
If you're local here in Buffalo, you did say it'll be at the library.
So it will be at the Buffalo Public Library if you are local in Buffalo at the Central Library, but you can get it from any library wherever you go to request to have it sent there. Mm-hmm. And then we also are always available at different vending events as well.
Okay, good. So awesome. So just to add to your title, so this is Dope Girl Miss Sharifa.
Thank you.
How does it feel to have that many titles in front of your name?
A lot, but I'm a creative, so I really, really enjoy it. But I guess for me, it's just really just taking it all in and just understanding, being thankful for the gifts that God has given me and being able to serve others with those gifts.
Yeah, and that's awesome. So just to give a little bit of background, so I know Sharifa I met you through my close friend Jamila, who is her sister. Yes. So I think the first time, I met you, I think, in passing, because I used to come to y'all church when you used to, me and her used to sing in college, because me and her sister are college friends. But I think it was kind of like, oh, this is my sister, and you were younger. And I was like, oh, hey. I think when I really got to know you a little intimate is when I moved back from North Carolina. And she had your sister is good for a birthday outing. Yes, she had a dinner. Yes. I think it was at Pentina downtown. That's what it's called.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
I think that was my first time intimately getting to know you, like in an intimate setting. I was like, oh, she is funny. She's funny. And then I always laughed at y'all's sister dynamic because me and her joke that it reminded me of me and my older sister because y'all act like the older sisters, and we always like fussing at each other and big. Right. I was like, oh my God, y'all funny. So I think that's when I finally got to kind of, I was like, oh, she has like a bubbly personality, and she's funny. Then you probably was fussing at Jamila about something.
Probably, as always.
And then I think I really got to know you was when y'all invited me to the Caribbean.
Yeah.
We first went with some of your friends, a group of Yes. I think that's when I really got to know you.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and we always had like our girl talks, and we always like, always like spitting information. Like we always like motivating each other in our girl talk where we talking about dating. Yeah. And even then, because I remember you were vlogging then. So you might even know like what was going to come down the line.
Wow,
you were trying to do that.
You were
trying to vlog our journey.
Oh, wow.
But what stood out, I remember then, I don't know if I knew you had diabetes, but I remember you were using that's why we're here, because I don't really know. I think you had a monitor. Yeah, but you were open about it. But I don't prior to people unless you. But you seem like you were open.
Oh, I am.
And I think you had to keep checking like your monitor. I guess that's for your sugar and stuff. But we'll get into that. But So that's what made me, think about you too. With this, I was like, you just seem open. And
Oh,
so
yes,
good.
absolutely.
So, but I remember, you were big then, with checking your sugar. And then we had the episode when we went to the Blocko party. And y'all, so if y'all ever been to Carabana, the Blocko party is like the party to close out the Carabana.
Shout out to Deandra, because Deandra, that's my bestie. She loves Blocko.
So we were having a good time, y'all. It was lit, packed. And then, I guess we'll get into it because I don't know exactly. I just figured it was something with your diabetes. Something happened. Now, mind you, it took us forever to get. I think we stood in line probably for over an hour just to get in. Because I don't even, did we have, oh no, you did prepay. I think you paid for everybody.
Prepaid, but standing in line was worth it. It was
No,
worth
it was. If y'all ever go to Caribbean, that's the party to go to.
On Sunday
yes,
afternoon.
Blocko party. So, anyway, so we were, I don't even know if we were there maybe an hour. And then whatever happened, she got, had an episode, got sick, so we all had to leave. I'm not going to fight. Man, but we had to be good friends.
Oh gosh.
And we even thought about, but now I think we were like 30 minutes away at that. Yes. So then we had to get the Uber. So it wouldn't have been worth trying to get back, stand in the line. So it is what it is. But, whatever.
Yes.
But you still,
absolutely.
Whatever happened with that. But I just remember you being open on
that. Yes,
so that's
absolutely.
Like, okay. So to talk about that. But yeah, that's how I got to know Sharifa. Okay. So that's our little background. And I did look up just some little facts,
absolutely.
I really didn't know much about. I do have close family members and friends that I know of that has diabetes, but I didn't even know about you have type 1.
You also have type 1.
Okay, yes. So I remember hearing that, and I didn't know it was different. So I just thought you have diabetes. So again, that's why you're here today to inform.
You don't know what you don't know,
right? So
I get it.
I did just look up some basic facts just so I can know to be educated.
For sure.
Of course, I got it here in my little handy dandy notepad. So and I wanted to label this episode. I didn't even tell you all. So mental health matters too. So this is episode 5, y'all. Episode 5. Like I'm making it. I'm chugging along. So
that's right.
So and like I said, with the holidays coming up, I just want to bring awareness because how we can be. You got to have candy yams, all this stuff. Not trying to scare anybody, but you just want to be conscious, especially if you're someone that has it. So that's why Sharifa's here today, just to tell us her story. Her story may not be yours if you have, but just to give us a little background on her journey with it. So like I said, so November is National Diabetes Awareness Month. And then, I don't know, I guess the 14th was actual National Awareness Day. I don't know.
I believe so. You know what? This might be a little bad. I didn't even realize this month was National Diabetes Month until Jay Renee told me, your lovely host. And I think I did see as well, on LinkedIn, just because I'm on LinkedIn as well, I did see that there was a certain day this month, which was actually National Diabetes Day.
Okay, yeah. So, and that's what I was going to ask, is it big? Because I feel but I'm not really in the community. I didn't really hear a lot. I mean, I don't watch local news like that.
But that's a good point that she's bringing this up, and that's why it's so important that she actually is doing this episode, because you're right. I wasn't even aware of it as a type 1 diabetic. My doctors didn't tell me, and I wasn't aware of it. So that says a lot that there's not enough information about it, and there's not enough information about it being a national Diabetes Month. So
okay, well that's okay. I thought it was just me. I want to say
it's me too. I didn't know either.
But yeah, so I looked up. So basically they draw awareness to it in the month of November, and it says the purpose is to raise awareness and educate people about diabetes and how it can be prevented. It's to celebrate the courage of people affected, and special thanks to our medical professionals out there and advocates that promote for the National Diabetes. And then also when we're talking about November 14th, I guess they set it as National Diabetes Day. And it's a significant date on the diabetes calendar because it marks the birthday of the man who co-discovered insulin.
Oh, never knew that. Well, thank you for him, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be alive.
So his name is, shout out to Frederick Banting. That was his name. So I guess that's why November 14th is the actual day. So that's when he...
Never knew that.
Well, it's the birthday of him. So they wanted, I guess, show recognition.
Oh, that's awesome.
And there's some facts I looked at. I don't know if you know, or you can correct me, but just some things, I don't know how recent, but according to the Diabetes Association of America, more than 38 million people live with diabetes, and nearly 98 million have pre-diabetes, which I didn't know that was a pre-diabetes. I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, that's a thing.
So, and it says, and in the last 20 years, it has doubled. And of course, in our community, it's way more effective, of course. So I just want to start off and kick it off with you, introducing and just telling us a little about it. So tell us why, I guess you said you were just aware of, I would say, why is National Diabetes Month so important to you, or why do you think we do? Well, like you said, I guess a lot of people don't know, so we do need to bring awareness.
Yes. So, I mean, it's important because, for one, as a type 1 diabetic, I didn't even know about it, and I feel like, there are other illnesses out there and just different illnesses, diseases, and things out there, but I wasn't familiar with National Diabetes Month. Now, it could just be me not researching it, but I feel like if something is out there, you shouldn't really have to do the research. It should kind of just be presented to you. But I think it's important because, like she's mentioned, there's a lot of people who are living with prediabetes, and what prediabetes essentially is that what most doctors do is they do blood work or a blood test called an A1C. I believe it's hemoglobin A1C. I don't really know all the scientific terms behind that, but basically the A1C looks at your blood sugar levels in your body over like a 3-month period. So I believe the range to indicate if you're pre-diabetic or not is above a 6. I could be wrong, don't quote me, because I am a type 1 diabetic. So when I found out about having diabetes, it was past pre-diabetes. I was full blown.
Okay. Oh.
So when I found out, it was just diabetic. Like it was not no like, you know, generally when somebody's diagnosed with pre-diabetes, their doctor will tell them like, okay, we looked at your blood work, your A1C is a little elevated. Here are some things that you should do to make sure that you do not become a diabetic.
Okay. And they found out from blood work. That's how they find out.
So, yeah, so they could find out through blood work. For me, my diagnosis was a little different. I was diagnosed at the age of 9. And for me, I know you didn't ask for the origin story, but I can tell you, listen, I'm gonna tell y'all. So I'll tell you my symptoms. So what happened with me was that I was diagnosed at the age of 9, and my mother has and still is one of those people where she's like, oh, you got a bump on your face. Oh, what is this? Or your eye is red. So very like.
Observant.
Oh yeah, observant and very health conscious. And I thank her for that. I honestly, you know what? I thank her for that because if it wasn't for that, I would not have found out that I had diabetes. So long story short, I actually got diagnosed on Halloween, October 31st.
Wow.
It's so funny that I actually got this pumpkin looking shirt on. Halloween is over. But yes, so I got diagnosed on Halloween, October 31st. And what was happening to me, which I did not realize was diabetes related, was that at the age of 9, I kept wetting or using the bathroom in the bed. So what would happen is that I would wake up and I'll tell my mom, oh my gosh, I used the bathroom in the bed. Now, 9 years old is not necessarily like old, but also 9 years old is not young. You know what I'm saying?
Except for be wet in the bed.
Yeah. So, at this point, to me, just kind of was like, my mom and dad was like, well, maybe you're just not, you need to go to the bathroom, like, before you go to bed. And I remember, too, like, a week before I got diagnosed, it was like, I would go to the bathroom before I went to bed, but then I would still wake up using the bathroom. So, long story short, on Halloween, I was eating candy on the bus, just.
I don't say go figure it was on Halloween too, so sugar, sweet.
Okay, eating candy on the bus, and I remember I came home and I had like a rash on my face. I thought nothing of it. The rash didn't bother me. It wasn't itchy. It was nothing. My mom thought, hey, I need to take you to the doctor to see about the rash. Long story short, my mom took me to the doctor. And one of the routine things that they did, now the nurses there are smart. Obviously, with me being 9, not knowing what diabetes was, I heard about it because I believe my grandparents had it, but it was more so like, that's something old people have, or that means you ate too much sugar. Like, for me, I'm like, what, 9 years old? Like, no, you're innocent. You're innocent at that age. And so, long story short, I had went to the doctor, and what happened? They made me do like a urine test or a urine sample, which is kind of odd that I think about it for just like a checkup, whatever. But I did a urine test. So I did the urine test, went to the back room, waited for the doctor, and I remember the nurse came to me and said, Sharifa, did you dip your hand in your urine? And I'm like, what do you mean by that? And so the kind of explain that is that it was Halloween. And it was Halloween, and at the doctor's office, they had like a pumpkin, and they had candy in the pumpkin basket. I don't recall eating candy, but I'm 9 years old. I'm not stupid. So one, that's why it was confusing for me wet in the bed, but that's not why I was at the doctor. But two, you asked me did I dip my hand in my urine? Sis, thank you for asking that, but sis, no. I'm 9. Okay? Not 3.
Right, I was like, that's a little weird.
Yeah, so she asked me that because she said to me, this is when I knew something was wrong. She said, did you dip your hand in your urine? I said, I did not. She said, there's sugar in your urine. She said, you need to do a repeat test. So I did a repeat test. I made sure I didn't dip my hand in the urine. I remember vividly the doctor coming back into the room with my mom and was like, send her to the hospital immediately. And the rest is history.
What?
Yes. I know.
So wait, okay.
Yes.
That's alarming. So wait, so did you, like, how was, I was going to get into that, like, the background and find out at 9, 'cause I remember hearing that from your podcast.
Yes.
So, okay, so did your mom panic? Did you panic? Like,
so the thing, you know what? Shout out to my doctor. I don't know if he's still in practice, but, you know, his name was Dr. Najjar. And he was very much like on the same path with my mom, where it's like, okay, something's wrong, bring him in. So he told me it wasn't alarming or anything like that. It's okay.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Look. I've had everything on silent. Sorry, you know, it is what it is.
Right. Listen, hey, it's life. Right. And I also got something on my. We can always edit that part out. We're probably gonna edit that part out. Whatever. Yeah. I'm like, I hope this thing is recording too. Okay, but it is.
Okay.
You like, girl. Okay, yes. So, anywho, so long story short, when he told me that I had to go to the doctor, and I thank him because it's important to have a doctor that doesn't scare you. Whether it's a diabetes diagnosis, if it's a cancer diagnosis, if it's whatever diagnosis, I feel like for me, if we're going to talk about mental health, I think it's important to have someone that tells you like this is serious, but also don't frighten you and scare you, because as it is, being told that you got to go to the hospital immediately is kind of scary. Yeah. So I literally remember that entire day. So my mom had went to the doctor's office with me and my siblings. I have a brother and a sister. And he said, you just send her to the hospital immediately. We went back home, and I remember my dad had came home from work. He used to get home around 6 o'clock, and she told my dad we got to go to the hospital. And so I remember he was ironing his shirt, getting things ready. And honestly, it wasn't chaotic or anything like that. But the funny thing about this is that I'm not a mother yet, but I can only imagine how my mom felt and my dad.
That's why I asked, because now me being a mother hearing that.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why, so y'all didn't really go immediately to the hospital.
We did not.
Home. That's what I'm thinking y'all went.
That's probably the problem.
So when I just heard, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, they didn't go straight still.
Right. That's probably why my blood sugar got higher and higher.
And that mom too. I'm thinking like, I would have been crying. Oh my God, like, Mom, they said.
Yeah, that's
my baby. And I probably would have like, wait, okay, this is serious. Let me go straight to the ER.
But no, we decided to go home, probably get more candy. That's probably what really happened. Because I remember literally going from doctor to the house, and I remember after that, and I thank my dad as well. My dad is really good with, I always say, like, keeping things mellow, even when things are like, when I was diagnosed, or anytime like I have had, because I talked about this on my podcast, Mental Health Diet, when I had panic attacks, because something else happened shortly after finding out I had diabetes. I found out that I actually had another disease that my doctors did not tell me about until 3 months later.
Oh, wow.
That led to panic attacks.
Still at 9 too.
Still at 9. Okay. So yes, so I could kind of get into that, which is very interesting. But yes, and so basically, long story short, I went to the doctor, and I remember I went to the emergency room part, and I just remember going to the emergency room part. They took me to the back, and all of a sudden, they just started stabbing me with needles. I mean, I had needles in my... I had IVs, needles, and all this stuff on me, and I was in the bed, and I just, at 9, I was innocent, and what's so crazy about life is like, some people could be like, I can't believe you went through that, but it's like, what else was I going to do? Yeah. And also at 9, I didn't know what was happening. Right. But I knew something was happening. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what was happening, but like my parents knew. And so I remember they stuck me and all that. And I just remember they were just like, here's a diet pop. And I remember that was my very first diet soda, and it was like a diet Sprite. I remember vividly they gave that to me. They said, drink this. They said, you'll be okay, just drink this. And they gave me all these shots. And I think a little bit after I found out I had diabetes. But I also remember vividly, I love my brother. I love my sister as well. But my brother was in a room, and he was crying. And me and my brother growing up, we are 2 or 3 years apart. He's older than me, whatever.
I know y'all all are
yes.
Okay.
But we are very close. But growing up, I will say with my brother, we were like two peas in a pod. Like, our personalities are very, very similar. Like, we're very, very close. And one of the things he said to my mom was that is that my sister will she be able to ever play with me ever again? So he was crying and thought that because he saw me in the bed with the needles and all that, and they said I had diabetes, he thought that was it for me and him playing again. So, but yeah, after that, I stayed in the hospital for like 3 days, and they kept giving me shots.
Oh, so you had to stay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So when I got to the hospital, they found out my blood sugar was 400. Your blood sugar should be between, they usually say, I wouldn't say between like 80, for non-diabetic, I think 80 to like 120 or something like that. My blood sugar was 400.
Oh, wow.
We're way past that. So at that moment when they checked my blood sugar through the blood work, I was automatically diabetic.
Yeah.
They like, girl. And so long story short, the rest is history. Was in the hospital for 3 days, saw a dietitian. They taught me how to count carbohydrates, which is a big thing with diabetes. And they just basically told me what I really love is that they told me that it will be okay. You're still normal. There are just certain things that will happen in your life that you have to do versus other people. But I will say that's literally when my life changed forever. And I think now I have to figure out, okay, God, you gave me this diagnosis amongst other things. How can I use this to help other people? Because my world actually did change at 9, and I really don't remember. I honestly don't really remember life before not being diabetic. I've been one for so long, but I'm very open about it too. So that's the other thing too. I'm very open.
Yeah, that's what I say. That's why I have you here. So wow, and it's funny because I was going to dig into all of that.
Oh yeah,
but you basically answered all that with your background.
I know.
And you brought in, since you already just talked about like your family. I was going to ask like, how was it? Did you think it took a mental toll like on your parents? Because I've met your parents. They do seem like very down to earth, very. I can't even picture like your mom being frantic or going crazy, and your dad seems down like very calm.
Very
so
chill.
And with your siblings like Jamila and your brother
Belfo,
okay, I knew it was
I know it's
name,
a little weird name,
and no, it's not weird. It's
not weird. It's different.
Right, I was about to say I like to say
it's Italian actually. We're not Italian, but. Yeah, I don't know. These names just become from everywhere. Yeah, but his name is Italian.
But like you said, you had already answered. Like it affected him. He immediately got emotional. Like, what's going on? So my sister, am I gonna be able to play with it? Like, what is this? So how was it like growing up in the household with you being that young? Was it hard for like your family, like Jamila, your brother, your parents? Like how was it? Or was everything just normal? Like nobody kind of.
Oh no, it wasn't
stressful.
No, it's a good question. So I will say nothing was normal. And it wasn't that it was. I like to say my new normal. So when things happen in our lives, whatever it looks like, I've learned that when you deal with something, things will change. Whether it's losing someone, you have to learn how to live in that new normal. And I think as we continue to get older and just life, you're gonna have different new normals. You may not like it. But in order to continue to live and just continue to breathe life into yourself, you really have to be okay with that new normal. So my new normal, what it looked like for me was different, was that my brother and sister would tell my mom, oh my gosh, why we gotta have sugar-free drinks in the house? Oh my gosh, this is Diet Pepsi? Oh my gosh, this is nasty. So the biggest thing was always like, oh my gosh, why does this have to be sugar-free? Oh my gosh, why does this have to be diet this, diet that? And I didn't really take offense to it. And I guess for me, like, I guess maybe if I was a little older, like the age that I am now, I probably would have took offense to it. But when you're young like that,
everything, you don't even have time to think, because you don't know about mentally being stressed, and you're just like, whatever. So.
Yes, you don't know about different things like that. And then also too, I used to have panic attacks. So where I used to have to go to the hospital. I was hospitalized for those things. So it's like you don't, like, even when I was dealing with that, I didn't know what was going on. I just knew that something was wrong, and I would tell my parents, I need to go to the hospital right now, and they would just take me to the hospital. So
So at 9 you were having panic attacks?
Yeah. So what ended up happening to me was that I was diagnosed with diabetes at 9. So when I went to the hospital, they did all this blood work. I mean, I had tubes in me, and they did all this blood work. What ended up happening is, what they did not end up telling me until 3 months later, is that I had another disease called Graves' disease. So it's an autoimmune disease that I guess many people with diabetes, they end up having, because diabetes is an autoimmune disease where your body attacks itself. So then another disease happened. And so Graves' disease affects the thyroid. And so what ended up happening with me is that I had a thyroid that was coming out of my neck this big. And it took a while to grow, but I actually got it removed, I believe, at the age of 11. So I had it removed twice. It would not go away. But when I had Graves' disease, and I understand doctors probably didn't notice then, Graves' disease leads to a lot of, I'm not going to say mental health issues, but it leads to a lot of mind things. So basically, I dealt with panic attacks. Like panic attacks where all of a sudden I could just be sitting somewhere and I just don't breathe. I can't breathe, I'm sweating, and I'm literally on almost the verge of death. And this used to happen everywhere. Like, I remember one time I visited my uncle in Cleveland, and I was meeting, like, his new wife or whatever, and all of a sudden I sat on the sofa, and I was like, I need to go to the hospital now. And this was happening to me at a very young age. And I dealt with this a lot throughout my life, and then now, I don't have that much. I don't really have panic attacks. If anything, I have anxiety attacks. But I thank myself for really understanding that it's not a curse on me. And I think sometimes we think that is that like they're like, why is it me or this and that? But something that I'm learning, my therapist also told me, is that learn to allow anxiety to be a part of you, basically. And I think a lot of times that I've tried to run from it. Now, I still don't know why I got those panic attacks, but I guess after research, they said there's something called a thyroid storm. So a thyroid storm indicates that during a thyroid storm, a lot of things happen to the body, and that includes panic attacks, because it affects something hormonal in the body. And so for me, my thyroid was big. It was coming out of my neck. And so for me, it caused me to have all these symptoms. And then on top of that, I had diabetes. Yeah. So I was hit with like 2 different things that was really affecting my body at such a young age. And now I think about it, I wonder if my body can even handle it. Yeah. That might be why I was having all those things. But that really honestly birthed into who I am today. That birthed into my podcast, and I just now use what I dealt with as a purpose to help other people as well. So yeah.
And I love you brought that up because hence I love the word purpose. So I always focus on that podcast. So it's good that you said that, because like you said, you didn't know all these things, like what was going to happen in the future. You're going to use it as a testimony.
Oh, for sure.
To help other people.
For sure.
It's funny because you're touching on everything I was going to ask. So I'm trying to go back. So you had mentioned about the thyroid. So you said you were 11.
So I had it, because I always ask my mom, I'm like, when did I have it removed? So I had it removed twice. I believe it was at 11. And so the way they did it was they gave me 2 options. Now, as I got older, I became more conscious about things they were doing to my body. And I also dealt with panic attacks and anxiety attacks. So doctors had to be a little careful with me, and my parents were really very careful with me. And I thank my parents as well, because when I had those anxiety episodes, my sister has seen them, my brother has seen them. My parents never treated me differently. What they would do is they would look at me and see what's going on, because I can't, like I said, I'm not a mother yet, but I can't imagine my child telling me they feel like they about to die. I'd be dead with them. I'm like, well, your mama's going.
And that's what I was going to focus. So you have mentioned, of course, well, now it was there, because, I feel like now it's bigger. Back then, nobody was really talking about, like, in our community, now everybody is trying to work on their mental health. So what you having a panic attack, like, so your parents knew, so did they get you help, like a psychiatrist or like?
No.
I was about to say, then nobody really educated.
The crazy thing about it
with you
is I would go to the hospital. This is why I said, ladies or men, whoever, you have to fight for your own self. I say this all the time. I think the only reason why I found I had Graves' disease is because my mom must have asked something. It was like, oh yeah, she actually has Graves' disease as well. One thing I will say is always fight and advocate for yourself. When you don't feel well, be like, no, check and see what's wrong. Long story short was, when I used to have these panic attacks and go to the hospital, by the time I would get there, so it was weird how the brain works. I would have anxiety attacks. I would be like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe. I don't know what's going on. Go to the hospital, and that was my comfort zone. I would get there and then it would go away. So then they were like, oh, she fine.
I know your mom was like, well, she was just fine 20 minutes
They're
ago.
like, but she was
going crazy.
And so the thing about it, too, is that one thing that was really big as well was that this used to happen a lot at church. And now that I look back at it, and now that I'm more spiritual, and I read the Bible, and I read the Word, I'm like, that was the enemy. So a lot of my panic attacks, like, I remember one big panic attack I had was on Easter Sunday, and my parents had to leave church on Easter Sunday. But a lot of my panic attacks actually happen in church, and that's another reason why people don't know this. I actually told my therapist this, but I think it's important to say this as well, is that that's another reason why I was not really involved in church. Is because when I did things like singing in a choir or just anything in the church, I would get anxiety attacks. People in my church, thought that I was quiet. I was really just dealing with bad anxiety, and I didn't know how to verbalize it, because then that might have given me an anxiety attack. Then I'll be back in the hospital. So now that I look at it, I'm like, that was the enemy, because like I feel like God had put purpose in me, and I always say this, like, that's why I feel like sometimes I have these anxiety attacks in certain situations, because like there's something in me that the devil doesn't want me to get out. Because at church, like, why I keep having panic attacks at church? At church. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's so funny you touch on that, because, like, literally my most recent episode, I just put out there this week, catering to comfort. And I feel like how the enemy does try to do things, like, with anxiety, depression. A lot of people suffer from that. I know people close to me that has anxiety, depression.
For sure.
And I feel like we kind of, I don't want to not make light of it, but I feel like they kind of use it as a crutch in a way. And it's like, no, it's just the enemy you don't, I mean, yes, you probably suffer from it, but don't let that be the reason why it's holding you back or the reason why you're having these, mental breakdowns. So, like, try to find a way to fight through it. So, I'm glad you said that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because the enemy does. He wants to, because he knows his purpose coming out as a testimony out of that.
Absolutely.
He wants to sit you down and
Absolutely.
make you think, oh, no, I got anxiety. But yeah, so that's good you touched on that.
Yeah, and I will say, too, is like, and I also had to learn, even within the past year, it's okay to ask for help. So I've dealt with an anxiety attack. So it went from panic attack to more anxiety attacks. And it got to a point where I was like, I need help. So I started seeing a therapist. And then I will be open about this. I don't think no one knows this. And I used to be ashamed to admit this. But I'll admit this. I'm actually on medication now for my anxiety. And ever since I have taken that medication, my life literally has changed. And it's not a do-all, like a magic pill, but it does help me suppress those because, like I said, for me, I don't know where this anxiety is coming from. I feel like a lot of it has to do with something that happened with my thyroid, but, I think that was my biggest thing, and even with my parents growing up, and, I love them, but I think, I love them, and I also think even within our Black community, a lot of times, there's nothing wrong with this, but I think a lot of times we think that it's okay to pray, but I want to say that I think that we only think prayer is the only option. And it says in the Bible that faith without works is dead. So in my thing, it's like, let's pray, but let's also have some action behind it. That's why God allowed us to have therapists and doctors, because I could have prayed my diabetes away in that bed at 9, but I would have been dead. Dear God, please let her. I mean, that's nice. That's a prayer that I have, but also, too, I think that's why I have to realize, like, girl, just see a therapist. Do these different things. Like, still pray. Thank God for the therapist. Thank God for the medication. But, that's just also something that I thought.
And that's another thing. We'll be here all day, though. But, like, I'm glad you said that because I focused on that on my podcast. And I heard it. It's funny recently because I was following Crystal Renee, I call her Fatima.
Okay, yes.
And I started following her podcast, and it's funny because she talks about mental therapy, and it brought something. But I remember before I started the whole podcast with Sparked, I was doing the Zoom book club, and we were getting different opinions. So I come up in a traditional church, kind of like you too.
Yes, for sure.
So that was how growing up. No, like even today, my mom's still traditional. Like nobody. Told me nothing about counseling. It was always pray to God, pray to God. The spiritual, like you said, nothing's wrong with that. I'm still like number one to God. But
exactly.
You need that extra push. So it's like it's not always.
Yes.
Well, it is always pray to God, but you need that extra. So I love that you said that because I remember Crystal Renee said on her podcast, like a lot of people steer away, like, oh, I don't need that. I'm gonna just keep praying. And I don't know what this episode she did with Kirk Franklin. I don't know, it was something.
Yeah.
And he was just like, not joking about it. He's like, okay, I have cancer. I'm just gonna pray to God and not go get my treatments, not go to the doctor.
That's all I'm saying.
Like you said, faith without works. You still,
you still gotta have some action.
To go do some
you
action.
Gotta do something.
So even with therapy, like when people think they're like, oh no, I don't need my therapist. I'm talking to God about it. Okay. Just like with God, He made the resources for us to go out, to have that extra push, to have a therapist. God created
and it's abundant resources. That's the thing about it. There's like an abundance of resources. So I think that's important. And I think also we have to think about it this way. It's like, that's like us having a vision. Like, for instance, you saying, okay, I want to start a podcast. But if you just said I want to start a podcast and then have no action behind it, you wouldn't be here right now. So I think that sometimes we use, I'm not going to get spiritual, we use the Bible and tweak it sometimes into our own ways or to what it fits for us. But first of all, we're not all the same. God did make us all the same in regards to the way that we should worship Him and different things like that. But it is okay to seek help and things like that is going to help you because God gave those people a gift to help you. Like we have a gift to serve people. There's people out there who gift is to serve you. And like you said, like I always say to myself, like, if somebody break into your house and do something, or like, you could pray it away, get out my house.
Let me get on my knees right now and pray to this.
I know this Bible ain't in here. I know.
I'm going to take some extra extremes. I'm going to take what I got.
Listen, and so, or something happens to you, you fall down a flight of stairs or somebody passes out, like, you're going to call the hospital, you're going to call the ambulance. Yes, you're going to pray that they're okay. Because I use prayer and I'm really more into the Bible now, but I had to learn that there has to be some action behind it. And just like, I don't know if she probably was going to ask me, but that's why even with me having diabetes, yes, I have diabetes. I pray God every day. Oh, God, I do sometimes ask for a cure. Sometimes I forget to ask it because at this point I've been living with it so long. But some actions that I can take behind that is eating right. Eating right, making sure that I eat foods that are not too high in sugar, making sure that I take my medication and my insulin. So that's action as well. So I think a lot of times people in our community, I will say this, especially within our community, people that have type 2 diabetes, which is a little different. So with type 1 diabetes, the pancreas does not work.
Okay.
So my pancreas does not produce any insulin.
Okay.
So I have to utilize artificial insulin. So that's why shout out to that guy December 14th. I forgot his name. He's the one.
Frederick Manson.
Okay, shout out to him. Okay.
Yeah, shout out. Thank you for the insulin. For the help people like my dope girl right here.
Okay, listen. And so type 1, my body does not produce any insulin. And so I actually have let me see.
Oh, so you okay.
I have an insulin pump.
Okay. So is this is what you always use, like when we're like on a trip. So you do.
So I got this maybe about a year ago. I used to have another insulin pump that had a cord and that would sit on my hip.
Okay, yeah, that's what I remember. You had the cord.
So this one is an insulin pump that I like now, so it doesn't have a cord. And then I also have like a device. So it's like it's literally a phone, an old Samsung phone that they refurbished and turned that into an insulin pump, which is crazy. And so that's how I get myself insulin. And then I also wear something else on my stomach, which is a continuous glucose monitor. So it tells me what my blood sugar is at all times. Okay. And the nice thing about that is that when I first was diagnosed, I used to check my blood every time I ate with this continuous glucose monitor, or called CGM. I only check my blood sugar once in the morning, once at night, because it tells me what my readings are.
Oh, okay. So nice.
So yeah, and so I would say real quick, and so type 2 diabetes is type 2 diabetes is a little different, where the body produces little insulin but not enough.
Okay.
So a lot of times people that are overweight or just may have other ailments or are older, those are people that generally have type 2 diabetes, versus people that have type 1 are usually, I would say, like a child, somebody maybe in their 20s or 30s. You'll find people with type 1 diabetes.
Okay. I'm glad you got to that. I was going to ask that next. So I know I learned, I didn't even know it was different types. So I know it was a type 1, which you have. It's a type 2, and then it said gestational.
Yeah.
Now, is that the one? So because, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. So is that for like when you have a baby?
Yeah.
Okay, because the reason I actually know when me have my baby, so they had to test, they had to do all this testing to make sure you don't have. So that was my first. And, so, well, everybody know my background. I talk on it now. Like, so with me being adopted, I don't know anything about my bloodline.
Okay.
So I had to go through all these tests. That's the main thing they asked, to make sure what's going on with your baby.
Right.
So that was one of the tests they did for, to see if I had diabetes or make sure my baby's good. So like you said, I think you said you had to drink the diet. So with me, I had to guzzle down. I think when you get to a certain term, I don't even remember how many weeks, but whatever. I think second term or whatever, I had to do. I think I had to do it twice. Anyway, I had to go in and go. So I do love soda, but I try to watch, because I'm trying to watch with my weight too, and sometimes I don't drink soda as much, but that's my weakness. But
got you.
I had to guzzle down. They had like the mini can of pop. They let you choose which one you want, and I think I had to eat candy along with it, because that's how they had to test me. I had to guzzle down the can of soda. And I guess everybody who's been pregnant, you probably went through this. Guzzle down the can of soda, and then eat like a Twizzler or something. Then I think I had to wait like 30 minutes, and then they take me in the back. They didn't do no noodles. They had to take my blood
to see.
They did the thing, they scraped my finger, and then that's how they tested to see, I guess, my sugar, or I guess how, whatever it is. I was too educated, but I knew it just to make sure. I just knew, I was like, okay, I don't have diabetes, a baby.
So that's good. That's good.
But I guess that's because I do know my sister has a close friend that she grew up. I remember when she was tall, I was going to get into that, and I watched her. So she was like her best friend's, I guess, codependent person, but their family stressful with, like, because they went to school together. So, and I don't know her history, like I said, but or what she has exactly. But I know my sister, or maybe you would know from that. Like my sister, there's be times, I guess, if something happened, like she would have to go in the bathroom with her and give her the shot or something with the needle and help her. So I don't know what that was.
She's probably a type 1 diabetic.
But I know she starts with. That was another thing too, with her having a baby, because that was alarming.
Yes.
So things that come with. Not trying to scare you. I'm sure you're educated, but
I'm already diabetic.
Things like that, you have to be more aware, because your baby is taking everything. And so with that, with the gestational one though, so that's the one with.
So gestational is when someone finds out that they have diabetes while they're pregnant.
Okay, so that is right. Okay, so that is.
Yeah, so that's and that's scary in itself, because it's like, what in the world? Now I'm pregnant. Yeah, I'm caring for a baby, and I have diabetes, and like for me, I guess I'm still low key. I'm still scared to have a child. with being a diabetic, because I'd be like, okay, this insulin, is it gonna get to my back?
For sure.
I'm trying to figure out
how I was gonna ask you, like, do that make you nervous when it comes to that?
So it does make me nervous, but what I will say is this: I told myself this is that when I, end up with child, whatever, I just want to make sure that I am around a supportive environment.
Exactly.
I
don't need nobody.
I can't afford to just. I have too much going on, and then also too. Depending on the father, and the baby, my baby could end up with diabetes, and I can't imagine having a baby with type 1 diabetes.
Yeah, like you said, that's good. You said I have a good community, because that's something I had to learn with me being pregnant.
Oh yeah,
and given my situation, I say it, to help other people. So I, unfortunately, had to be a single mother.
Yes.
So, of course, you have your community, the village. As I call my village, but you have the people, and I know people, your loved ones, they mean well, but still, you still have to be guarded for yourself, because somebody told me once, I think it was a close friend, because we were at a outing event, and because I did care, I think even you said, like, everyone's like, you don't even look like, I didn't really start showing until it was time to pop them out. So a lot of people were just saying little things, and I don't take things to heart, but I had like families like, they said that to you, like, I'll be offended, but like I had a friend that said, don't let people project their fears on you, and that's a good thing, because it comes with, you got to have the right people around you, because that little southern people were saying like, oh, you sure your baby okay, because you're small and stuff like that. I'm just like, I go get checked. He's fine, he's healthy. But somebody with low self-esteem, or say you don't have that good, and I'll start in my head like, oh my God, am I? And I'm not gonna lie, in the beginning it was, I would question like, so am I okay? Because a lot of people keep saying I'm small. Am I? They're like, you're fine. If it was alarming, we would test. I'm like, okay, but like you said, just going back to that. I know we got off, but
that's okay.
But like you said, it goes back to that, like, but having that, you got to have a good. I always say that, like right now, like my season I'm in, I make sure like the friends, my circle is smaller now. Like I make sure I have positive people that want to speak life,
and
speak truth. Not saying what I want to hear, but
that's the other thing.
I know they mean genuine.
That's the other thing.
Yes. That's good. Going back to that, but
that's good.
So you said it was a type 3, and it's funny you answered that, because I was going to ask about the different
types.
So like, are any of these? I know you were talking about like, is it a cure? So is none of them preventable? Like, or what can we do to like?
Yes, and so that's a good question. So generally, I will say with type 1 diabetes, that's the more preventive side. So when you have pre-diabetes, a lot of times your doctor may tell you, hopefully they're telling you the things that you could do. They will tell you probably to adhere to more of a healthier diet, limit sweets, and they probably will also tell you to lose weight. With type 2 diabetes, a lot of time you'll find that people that are overweight, and so from what I've read is that when you're overweight, your pancreas is not able to produce as much insulin, because now you have excess fat around the pancreas and different organs in your body. So when you lose weight, now your insulin is able to go throughout your body more. Okay. And so those are ways that you can go from pre-diabetes to like non-diabetic. Now type 1 diabetes is different. With me, my pancreas does not produce any insulin. Now if one day I wake up, and I've always been kind of a little scared about this, is waking up and then all of a sudden producing insulin, which is fine. But if it does happen, I will probably get into like a severe insulin shock, because now I'm getting too much insulin. And I didn't talk about this either too, but now I think about that, even like the severe insulin shock. Something else that I did deal with, that's part of my story as living life, is that I also was in a diabetic coma, I believe at 11 or 12, yes. And so my brother is the one, once again my brother, he's the one that found me, or not found me, but he's the reason. He's like, Lord, what can I do? She got diabetes. Nah, she ain't waking up. And so I was in bed, and then my brother was trying to wake me up. I didn't wake up, and they found out I was in diabetic coma. So,
oh my God, that had to been scary.
It was scary. Now for me, it wasn't, because I was in a coma.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. You don't know what's going on, but the people around you.
Yeah, it was scary for them. I just remember waking up, and I was like, why is there a firefighter in front of my head? Like, that's all it was just firefighters just surrounding me. Wow. And I just remember, like, my mom taking me to the tub right away, which is weird because the ambulance was waiting for me, and I didn't know what was going on. And I remember just throwing up and things like that. And so what happened is that my blood sugar got so low, I didn't realize it, and they gave me a shot of basically sugar. Mm-hmm. So it's called glucagon, and they put it in me, and then it causes a lot of people sometimes to vomit because it's just too much. Oh, okay. And so that's how I was able to wake up. But yeah, that is part of my story, something I am sharing a little bit more now, because I think a lot of times when we see people where they're at, we think that their life is perfect. And by no means my life is not perfect, but I am grateful and thankful that I always say that I don't look like what I've been through. Yeah. And and I also have like a more upbeat and upbeat spirit about it. So like, I don't have no problem talking about things like that, but I think I'm learning now that's important, and I'm glad that you're doing this, is even with you sharing your story and things like that, it's important to share your story, because like like testimonies are important.
Oh, yeah.
And I think sometimes, I will say this real quick too, is that I think sometimes, like even for me, I've been afraid to testify the good things that have happened in my life, and sometimes the bad things, but I like to tell the bad and talk about how I got out of it. And a lot of times I shed away from doing that because I don't want other people to feel bad, and that's not good. Like God didn't do that for us to keep holding on to it. So that's
I definitely relate, because that's why I didn't tell. I didn't want nobody feeling sorry for me. Like, even my adoption story, like, because you do. I feel like when I was younger, people automatically like, oh wow, like you could kind of see them. You're like, oh that's
right. I know, right.
Like, you know, not to make light up, but it's like I didn't want those looks anymore. So when I was younger, once I found out, I didn't talk about it a lot. Girl. But now that I'm older, mature, and dealt with things,
your story.
That's
your
story. I'm embracing it, but I didn't want to get that look like
that. That's one thing I will say to you is like, just anything that you go with, own it. And that's something I'm learning. Own your story. Like, your story is your story. Own it. Like, there's a lot of people that we see walking around, they got a story and they're just not owning it. Right. But like, own your story. There's a lot of people that's adopted. There's a lot of people that just it's just crazy. You wouldn't know it until they open their mouth.
Exactly.
So
that's what I seen that when I started following people's stories. Like even celebrities, like, wait a minute, you went. Well, I was like, here I am, sick, and I was like, oh no,
you and I alone.
Wow, so that's good. So you basically touched everything. So and we know you talk about it more. So everybody definitely follow. Go listen to her on Spotify. Are you on Apple too?
Yes, I'm on Spotify, Apple. I'm on every podcast platform. I have a podcast called The Mental Health Diet. I am pivoting it and rebranding it. So I haven't recorded it since like the past 3 or 4 months, but it is on there. I have over 100 plus episodes. So
I can't wait to get to that point in my life. Yes. And I wanted to end it. So you did touch base, and like with it being in our community, and you talked about the. I just want to go with the stats. They did say back in 2021, they said it's the 8th leading cause of death in the U.S. And then also, of course, in our community, the non-Hispanic blacks were twice as likely to die from diabetes. And I have seen people, and along they had other health-related concerns. Even to the point, I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I know it's the point too. Like if you don't treat it, it will you get they threaten to amputate.
I'm about to do that. I'm about to do cut off.
I'm trying to watch my words
I was gonna do that symbol.
I'm trying to but that too. But I mean, it's still serious. That's why we want to bring awareness so it doesn't get to that point. I've known people that have passed away from it. Of course, they have other underlying health, but along with that, because they didn't treat it in time, or they didn't take it as serious.
It's
I know some
serious.
family members, and are mad that like if they had just listened or did this, they will still
because we talk about the action. I think a lot of times, I will say that too, you're right, is that a lot of times, especially older people, when they have type 2 diabetes, they hear the word and they be like, oh, that's fine, or they don't even listen to their doctor. They'll be like, oh, that's fine, but people don't understand, over time, when your blood sugar is high, that is damaging your body and your organs. So now your blood is not circulating correctly. So now they do got to cut off your foot, because now you have a sore on your foot that now turned into, there's a word for it, it's infected, but now they got to get rid of your toe so that the infection don't go up to your body. And so I think that's the thing too, is that I will say people in our community, especially type 2 diabetics, got to take care of your health, and you have to stop looking at it as in like, I'll be fine, because I will say this too, type 1 and type 2 diabetes is tricky, just like high blood pressure, because you don't realize the symptoms and effects of it until years later. That's the difference. And like even for me, and it's another part of my story is that when I was 9 years old, my ophthalmologist, which is an eye doctor, he told me I'll be blind by 20.
What?
Look, you saw that face?
We both was like,
and I can see.
And what they say, God has the final say.
Okay, he has the final say, because I'm past 20. Period. I know I probably don't look like it. I'm like,
black don't crack.
Right, okay, because it don't.
You said it don't look like what I've been through.
Okay, and I said that.
And I said they probably was just, making you aware, but when you hear, negative stuff like that, it's just like, wow.
And that did affect me, because that's something that I never forgot, but because I was so young, I was playing with friends, going to school and things like that, but like, and also be careful who speaks life over you.
Who you have in your
because you just never know, especially as you get older, especially our millennials and people 20 or 30, whatever. Is that I will say that when people say stuff to us, we really take it more in. Versus when you're young, it's kind of like, but so.
So is that going to when you said that that's when glaucoma starts coming to play?
Oh,
right?
for sure.
I know.
That
deal with that. Okay, So I heard it here. So just take care of yourself. You said exercise.
Exercise.
Be mindful. So I wanted to bring awareness, like I said, because
Yes.
you know Thanksgiving is. I can't believe Thanksgiving is literally on Thursday, y'all. So we're a few days away from Thanksgiving at this time of year. No, and I have family members, like I said, and you know, this will bring up conversation because I don't even know what type they are. So I have an aunt. We just joke about like, should you be drinking that, auntie?
Yes.
Or so yeah, but we be joking around.
Yes.
And you know they are conscious, but you know things like that. So you know we about to have some candy yams, all this sugar. I know it's good. So like with that, so you can still indulge in it, of course, but do you still have to kind of be mindful of like, okay, let me watch on my intake, it's Thanksgiving, or
yes.
But you know what, some of those too, like I know they say, I guess what you said with testing your levels, but or if anything, at least be confident. I don't know still, but you can speak on it. Like test it before you eat, and then maybe test it again right after you eat, just so if you are going to indulge, but you shouldn't. But you know.
Absolutely.
I know it's probably hard with the holidays, it's holiday season.
It is harder. So for me, I give myself insulin versus a type 2 diabetic, they take a pill. So usually they may take a pill in the morning or in the evening, however their doctor does it. For me, every time I eat, I have to give myself insulin.
Okay.
So the nice thing is that my insulin's already on my body, I just have to press a button. With the pill, it's a little different where they just take the pill. So what happens is that a lot of people that are type 2 diabetics, they don't even think about their diabetes because they already took the pill.
Okay.
For me, it's different. I'm like, oh, I want that brownie. I got to give myself that insulin. Now, if I don't give myself that insulin, and there's been times I did that, I had to suffer for it. I suffer from it with high blood sugar. But I will say this too. This is very important. It's not just sugar that can raise your blood sugar levels because we're talking about Thanksgiving. One of my favorite dishes is macaroni and cheese. Oh. Love mac and cheese. Okay, listen, and can't wait. Listen, okay, and I'm hungry right now.
I was just gonna say because I'm hungry right now. So.
I'm hungry right now. But one thing that's important, I will say this, is that it's important to know that it's just not sugar. All carbohydrates convert to sugar. So even if you're eating a plate of mac and cheese, be careful because your body's going to digest it as sugar. So it doesn't just have to be a donut that's going to raise your blood sugar. So whether I eat pasta, whether I eat a cracker, my blood sugar is going to rise because the body converts to sugar.
So I didn't know that.
And I think a lot of people don't know that.
I just think sugar is with dessert, sweets, pop.
No,
so I never
it's just that's the quicker. That's the quicker because now that's even worse because a donut I'll say candy or pastries is already a carbohydrate, which is going to convert to sugar, and then it's also already sugar. And so that's something I will say is just that, you know, enjoy yourself on Thanksgiving, but don't enjoy yourself to the point that you actually kill yourself.
Right. Please don't.
Okay, listen.
Be conscious. You know you have it.
Right. Be conscious. And I will say also, too, or, you know, drink lots of water. And then maybe you can have fun on Thanksgiving, eat the food that you want, but then say the next day, I'm not going to eat no leftovers. I know that's kind of hard because leftovers are even better.
But, you know, and then, you know, our family, we like to eat leftovers for the next few days. And
they be good. They get better. I'm like, what happened in the refrigerator?
We're still eating.
I'm like, the refrigerator to cook the food or something because it just gets better. Okay. So,
but yeah, but no, that's good. And I was just gonna say, close out with what advice would you have, especially for our community, like I said, with Thanksgiving. Yes. So you basically already gave it, and along with that, and also, so is it important because you say it basically comes with the blood work. So I guess it is important to get your blood checked annually when you go to your physician. So that's another thing. Walking, you know, just any type of exercise, just exercise. Yes. I know in our community, just. You know, even for me, I mean, I don't have it, but, you know, just trying to get out there, that mental, like, okay, let me just get out there and do something, even just for 15, 20 minutes. So, guys, just get out there, take a walk somewhere. If you got a gym membership, go use it. You know,
please use it. Don't let it collect us.
To prevent it. But, like she said, I just want to call it. And again, thank you. I don't think I said, we just got right into it. You know, I'm just getting started, y'all, getting out my introvert, you know.
It's okay,
but thank you for saying yes on this. I really do appreciate it. And God, I know I mentioned it too. See, I'm remembering because we just got right into it. Because I said she was a career development coach, so she the one who helped me actually get my podcast up and running. I had started like the platform, but actually like getting that extra push also through Jamila. She told me.
Yes.
Shout out to her, another dope girl, and she told me, like, oh, you need to talk to my sister Sharifa. I'm like, Sharifa helped you with all this because she did hers. Because it's funny because she had told me when I put my page out there, she's like, oh my God, because I've been sitting on this idea. I think you was my confirmation. And then she took a step. I was like, yeah, girl, you better get out there and do it. And then she took a step further. Once I seen she was doing on Spotify, I was like, oh my God. I was like, so I texted her. Because, you know, like I said, just having good people.
Oh, for sure.
So I told her, like, well, you said I was, I was like, nah, you didn't give me confirmation back because I've been sitting on
for sure
trying to push it out there. I just been doing like my little random live videos just to try to get my feet wet in it. Because, like I said, I am introverted and, you know, the reserved part of me. So, yeah, so shout out to her. So she definitely for coaching me, she helped me because I'm not, even with this, I'm so glad she was here for my first one, because if it was somebody else, I'm like, let's just use my phone. So just with her just being excited with this, I'm not excited with technology at all. I'm not. Hopefully later on down the line, I'll have a team of people, and once this take off. But but thank you just for saying yes. Like I said, now we came out early, so just saying yes and taking the time. I really appreciate you being on this platform and making everybody aware of all my other dope girls. So like I said, I just want to close it out, and if you have anything last minute, promote. Like I said, don't forget, go get her mom's book, Friends. It's a really good book for kids. Well, even for adults. I wouldn't even just say for kids, but it is, geared towards the kids. But this is definitely a good book. I read it, but as soon as I ordered it, so I'm definitely gonna have my son reading it. I don't know, he's younger, but I still want to read to him. Yes, definitely go support her on me. All of my platforms, Dope Girl with Purpose, and also because even with doing this, because I said we went to an event last week, a networking event, getting on my show. And it's funny, I already had people asking, but I already had this set up, but people were asking already. It was weird to me. I didn't expect it because I'm not out there, but people were like, oh, we should build together a content, or what can I do to be a guest? I'm like, oh, okay. So guys, I do have an email, dopegirlwithpurpose@gmail.com. You can reach out to me or my platforms. Definitely, I would love to have you all as a guest. If you have a testimony or story, definitely reach out to me. And I'm on YouTube. Well, we're gonna get that where she still work with me. We're about to get to the app for y'all Apple people. Oh yes. We're gonna work on that. Oh yes, absolutely. And definitely share where people can follow you and. Yes, so you can follow me on Facebook underneath the name Sharifa Ali. Or you can send me an email at sharifataught@gmail.com. I am a business coach, and I am also starting coaching with people in regards to nutrition. I do have a background in nutrition. I have my master's in nutrition. So if you need help with that, whether you're a diabetic or not diabetic, whatever, I can still coach you. If you need some business coaching, you want to start a podcast in regards to personal growth or overall wellness, I got you. So go to Sharifa Ali. You'll see my link on there to book a coaching session with me, or just email me at sharifataught@gmail.com. You will not be disappointed. Yes, love it. Well, shout out again to my dope girl Sharifa, and we out. We out. Peace.